Welcome back to Bulgaria and welcome back to Bdin Vidin in our Football Manager 24 Build a Nation save.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of our Build a Nation save here in Bulgaria as the manager of Bdin Vidin. We've reached the end of season number 12. We're here to have a quick review of what's happened during the season. Of course, last time out we were rather disappointingly knocked out of the Champions League round of 16 yet again by Juventus, and we're just struggling to get past the round of 16 at the minute. Hopefully that does improve in the coming years, but today we've got the end of season review. We'll have a brief look at what's happened in the league and the cups domestically, and we'll have a look at the coefficients and wrap the season up. So let's get going, and we'll start off with the schedule screen. We're not going to click through each individual match like we normally do. As you can see, the league was particularly easy. We only lost one league game all season until we sort of were guaranteed to be the champions, really, and then we just rotated the squad massively and give the youth players a run out. But obviously disappointing to lose 3-1 on aggregate to Juventus in the Champions League. But league-wise, it was Spartak Varna, nice comfortable 3-2 win. We did leave it very late with Nenad Subic in the 92nd minute. 3-0 against CSK Sofia at home. Babak Campiore with 2 goals. Followed up against Arkar Jali, another 3-2 win. Bero 4-2 over Bero. Belasica was a massive win, 7-0. We're drawn against Ludogorets in the Cup semi-final, and we did win the first leg 1-0. Unfortunately, they did beat us 2-0 in the second leg, so we didn't quite get to the final of the Cup this season. Of course, we were defending champions, having won the treble last season. But CSK, Sofia, a 1-0 win. Samuel with the only goal of the game. And it's at this point that we were confirmed to be the champions, and we just rotated the squad massively. We did play the big boys against Bero. I just wanted to make sure that we hadn't gone on holiday, really. But yeah, the game in which we've sort of rotated the squad quite considerably, really. We've actually failed to score. Maybe not that one. That was pretty much full strength there. And beaten comfortably by Levski Sofia, and then beaten by Ludogorets on the final day of the season. The players were definitely on the beach by this point. So we did win the league very, very comfortably in the end. We got to 89 points, which I think is a new record. Obviously, we'll confirm that when we do end the season, stuff like that. But a 19-point lead in the table over Levski Sofia, who finished in second. Ludogorets did recover themselves up to third place, so they are into the Europa League for next season, along with CSK 1948. In terms of the second phase, it's Botev Plovdiv who have come through that European playoff to qualify for Europe next season. Relegated from the division is Septembri Sofia, Belasica, and Botev Raka is still in the playoff. We haven't quite reached that point of the season yet where they could potentially come up, and that would be against Hebar. So it could be Botev Raka or Hebar in the league next season. So going through the end of season now, for whatever reason this season I didn't even get an end of season review. It's not like I've clicked past it. I just didn't get one. So we'll make our own anyway. Bdin improve in the European club rankings. We have moved up one position to 27th place, which is it's fantastic. We're just behind PSV Eindhoven. We ourselves have had another fantastic season, and already going into next season we're due to move above quite a few places. So Bdin themselves are starting to move rapidly up the order. In terms of 10 years, which is basically what you get paid for, we're up to 49th on that one now. Obviously we do have 3 zeros at the start of that, so we do have some improvement to move up in. European competition rankings, the FBet League has moved up one position to 10th, which is good. We've moved above the Cinch Premiership, which can only help the league as a whole. Obviously the higher reputation the league's got, the more players are going to want to play here. Obviously we're now into the top 10 in terms of league. We need to be really getting into this sort of area before we're going to start getting the big stars of European football. In terms of how the Champions League went, Juventus did make it to the final after knocking us out, but they were beaten 2-1 by Manchester City. João Neves and Erling Haaland with the goals. Haaland did miss a penalty, but obviously we've been knocked out by the beaten finalists in the end. In terms of Europa League, it was Real Sociedad who beat Anderlecht. Unfortunately, we've had a Belgian team make it to the final of the Europa League, which is not great from our coefficients point of view. And then Conference League, it was Espanyol beating Aston Villa in the final. Right, because we haven't got an end of season review, we're going to have a look at. We're going to have to make our own, really, and we're going to come into the club page and the records. Most league wins in a season, 29. That is for this season, so that is a new record. Most points in the season is a new record. Most league goals in a season, we didn't quite beat that one, but we have obviously got the record for that one, which is 100. Most overall goals by a player, Adebayo, obviously not with us anymore. It's hard to pick out the ones that are this season's records off the top of my head. But most matches run in a row, we did that this season. That was 11. Most matches without losing was 33 from the end of last season. Sorry, from the beginning of this season to 21st of February. 33 games without losing. That's not just in the league, though. That's in total. So that will include Champions League and things like that. But 33 games without losing is obviously massive. We did break our transfer fee as well. I believe last season. It was last season, wasn't it? It was last season. It even tells me on the screen when the date was. Well done, Dean. Yeah, we paid 12.8 million for Marcus Vinicius, of course, and we sold Philip Verhoenig for 11.25 in the same season. Right, now the big one, what we're actually here for. Now, because we haven't clicked over to the next part of the season yet, these haven't updated, but all the European competitions have finished, so we can have a look at where we think we're going to end up. Of course, we're in 10th at the minute. We're actually chasing down the Netherlands this season. Belgium and Turkey have moved above the Netherlands. The Netherlands are dropping down. But in terms of coefficients, we've scored a nice 15.9 as a nation, which I think is the biggest one that we've had to date. The Netherlands have scored a 10.9. So coming into next season, as you can see, we're currently 3 points behind the Netherlands. But going into next season, because we're losing a 12, they're losing a 17, we're actually going to go above the Netherlands. So next season, we're going to be in 9th place in the coefficients. And we are closing the gap to Belgium and Turkey. Obviously, Anderlecht making it to that final is disappointing, but we have still scored more coefficient points than the three nations ahead of us, which is fantastic. So, a couple of seasons we could be up to 7th place, chasing down Portugal and Germany, and then possibly France. We've actually scored more than France this season, so we're definitely getting there as a nation. And just a quick look in terms of qualification places, when we do move up to 9th next season, we just gain an extra place. Really, we go into the 3rd qualifying round instead of the 2nd qualifying round. So it's just a little bit easier for it's be Levski Sofia next season to qualify for the league phase of the Champions League. Nothing else really changes. That's pretty much it as far as things are concerned for now. Right, in terms of how the Bulgarian teams got on in Europe, obviously we'll start with ourselves. We all know how we got on. We were unbeaten in the league phase, which was massive. Some big wins in there along the way as well. Unfortunately, a disappointing defeat to Juventus in the round of 16. Yeah, really disappointing. Levski Sofia next, and they were in the Europa League. They were in the playoff first leg where they knocked out Kapati quite comfortably on aggregate. Straight into the league phase, Slavia Prague, nice win there. Draw with Dynamo Kiev and a draw with Feyenoord. Cercle Brugge, beating a Belgian team there, that's fantastic. And drawing with Genk as well. Sporting with a draw. Legia Warsaw wins over them and Dynamo Batumi. Drawn against Lian in the round of 16. So they've gone straight to the round of 16, qualifying quite comfortably. They did best Lian on aggregate as well. What's that? 4-3 on aggregate, which is a good performance from a Levski point of view. Got to the quarter-final of the Europa League, which is huge. Unfortunately, a 3-1 away defeat in Rome was too much of a scoreline to overturn for Levski. And they did beat Lazio 2-1 at home, but unfortunately knocked out on aggregate there. In terms of how, obviously, they got on in the league phase, let's have a look, shall we? No, it won't let me. It won't let me. We've gone too far into the season. Right, Ludogorets into the Champions League qualifyings where they knocked out Midtjylland. They knocked out Anderlecht on penalties as well. So, looking at it, knocking out Anderlecht is not really been the best thing because they did make it to the final of a lesser European competition, the Europa League. But obviously the coefficient points that you score in the Champions League are obviously greater than the ones that you do score in the Europa League. Unfortunately, they couldn't get past Ajax, though. Knocked out 3-2 on aggregate, which did drop them into the Europa League phase. Wins over Donetsk Streda. Defeat to Anderlecht again, though. was highly disappointing. Defeat to Lazio, draws with Omonoya, win over Wolfsburg, and then defeats to Marseille and Zrinjski Mostar. But they did beat Karabag in the final game, which did see them through to the knockout playoff, where they were drawn against Gil Vicente. Nice 3-1 win on aggregate there. Knocked out Rennes as well in the round of 16. So we've had two teams in the Europa League quarter-finals in Levski and Ludogorets. Unfortunately, they couldn't get past FC Cologne. 4-2 defeat on aggregate there, but it's a decent season from Ludogorets. CSK 1948, we seem to be having the same teams every season in Europe, which is not a bad thing, you know, but they were in the Europa League qualifying. They comfortably dispatched of Maccabi Tel Aviv 11-1 on aggregate. Radniki were next, nice win there, knocked out Aberdeen as well. Draws with Djurgardens though, a defeat to Sporting away in Portugal, draw with Genk, a defeat to Fenerbahce, so, you know, not great against the teams of the nations we're trying to chase down, but they did thump Rangers 5-0. They also beat Tottenham 3-0, which is quite surprising. Unfortunately, defeats to Sparta Prague and Cercle Bruges saw them knocked out in the league phase. And then finally we have CSK Sofia, who were into the Conference League qualifiers. They got past Tobol Kostane on aggregate, beat Apoel, unfortunately succumbed to defeat against Fiorentina. So they didn't qualify for the competition proper, but still fairly decent for CSK Sofia. You know, they're not perennial appearance makers in European competitions. It's still okay. So that wraps up the season, guys. It's been a very, very good season domestically. We've absolutely dominated the league table this season. Europe-wise, it was okay. We got to the same position that we've got to for the last couple of seasons. The other teams did quite well, particularly Ludogorets and Levski Sofia, getting to quarter-finals of Europa League, which is fantastic. We just need to, as a nation, take that next step now and progress past these knockout rounds of the competitions. You may notice that we're in a new stadium. We're in Venets, which is it's temporary. It only holds 3,000 people, and that is because the Bdin Stadium has now started its expansion. It's going to move up to 14,914. They're adding 4,971 seats. It's expected to be completed at the end of next season. So we'll get those crowds back. But for now, we're stuck with 3,000 in a very poor stadium condition. But yeah, it's been a good season. It has been a good season. It's more growth. Bulgaria's moving up. The league's moving up. The nation should move up next season to 9th, and then we're chasing down Belgium and Turkey again. But we're up to 5 FBET League titles now as a club. So hopefully we can make that 6 next season and get past the last 16 of the Champions League. We desperately need to start doing that. Quick one today though, guys. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you next season. Hopefully we're going to improve the squad. I'm still looking for centre backs. I'm still looking for left wing backs. I think midfield wise and going forward we're absolutely set now. For the foreseeable future. We do have Ali Marunga. We've also got Fernando Baron, who's now listed as our key player, start FBET League player. Is wanted though. Of course he is by PSG, Atletico Madrid, Saudi are in. He's not leaving. He's not leaving. He's too good. He is too good, so he's not leaving. But guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.